Hey there, rock and rollers. Welcome once again to the Scouser and the Scot show. Now, if you watched the last show when my big Scouse mate was over invading Vegas once again, raiding, as you can see by his t-shirt. But he's back, so we're back to equilibrium. So it's great to see you back, big man. And I'll let you introduce our guest today.
Well, thank you very much, mate. And Vegas is still standing, and I'm still broke. So let's just keep it as that. Today we've got a very special couple on. We have got Adrian and Kerry from Lazy Fifthy. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You've come and moved from one of the nicest parts of the world, New Zealand, to the UK.
That's correct.
So many questions off the back of that before we even start. So let's do the introductions first. How the hell are you doing? And give us a quick overview about Lazy 50, and then we'll dissect the
I-
move.
First of all, I've got to say, if we had a pound for every single person that asked us that question, we'd be rolling in it.
You'll
But
have to come to Vegas then.
yeah, oh, um, yeah. So Lazy 50 is an original rock band from New Zealand, and a couple of years ago, we decided that we were going to come over to the UK. But the main reason being is that New Zealand is a country that's bigger in land size than the UK with a population of 5 million. So we were playing at big festivals, and it's just there's not very much there to do. You know, we were doing everything we could do, and we just wanted to get to a place where um, we could play, like Lazy 50 could play their original music to people that wanted to listen to it. And, you know, especially here in the where we are in the Midlands, you know, it's the home of British rock. People are really open to listening to new rock music that they haven't heard, and there's loads of venues and festivals and places like that you can get out and play your music, which there aren't those opportunities in New Zealand.
It's a real shock. It's a real surprise because for 3 years I did my own radio show in Scotland Rocks Radio called Hot from the Forge Radio Show. And with a chap that I kind of got to know, Matthew Mottram. And Matthew, who was a
Oh,
Welshman
yeah.
that moved over to New Zealand.
Yeah.
So he suddenly became my agent NZ, as I call him. So he used to send me over lots of New Zealand bands because I always played unsigned grassroots music. That was my show.
Yeah.
That's what it was all about. And it was Matthew that sent me Lazy Fifthy over along with there's some absolutely fantastic bands over there. The music is
Mm.
I used to always there wouldn't be a show that I wouldn't have at least three or four NZ bands on it, and I loved it. So it's just a shock that there isn't so much a scene. But when you say the demographics, 5 million people, that kind of explains it really as well, doesn't it?
Well, I'll give you a bit of an insight. In New Zealand, there's a real New Zealand sound in music in recent times, and it's kind of like a reggae dub sound. And so that those sort of bands tend to play, like there's a few big festivals over summer, and they tend to get all the slots, but there's nothing that's really just for rock music. And
Mm.
we just saw an article over summer saying that the two most successful bands, New Zealand bands playing in New Zealand over summer, had 6 gigs each.
Wow.
Six the whole summer, and that was like, yay, they're a success. It's like they're doing everything right, but there's just nothing else to play, you know.
The thing with Matthew Mottram, he's very well known in the rock metal sort of circles. He's an avid fan, and I think the British attitude of wanting to see original music is what he's brought with him.
Mm.
The problem in New Zealand, it's a very underground scene, the metal and the rock scene. And generally the only people going to watch these bands are the other bands
Mm.
and Matthew Mottram. So so like he's a really wonderful guy, and he really gets in and fights for the little guys. But the system, and I won't say it, the system's set up because that's a bit unfair. But the last 20 to 30 years, when I was growing up as a kid, there were lots of original bands, and you would go to the pubs and there was lots of live music. Now it's tribute acts, and the pubs don't want to take an original band. There's a couple of places in a few of the main centres that still do it for the rock and the metal scene. but generally you can't find anywhere to play, and the live music venues are just slowly being, and I see it's happening here as well now. They just can't afford to stay open. So
it's crazy times, to be perfectly honest. I think the amount of pubs, venues, you name it, are all struggling. Even bands are struggling, and it's hard to actually find places to actually play. They'll put you on, as you say, the only one band at the moment. They look for things that can pull in crowds, and a lot of people are going down the route of, like, tribute acts, which takes away. You're going to end up losing the
yeah,
heart of music, and it's there's so many good promoters out there. There's so many good venues who are trying their hardest, but they don't get no support from the government.
yeah, and just the legislation in New Zealand doesn't allow live music venues to just be a live music venue. So they've got to adhere to the rules that just cater to hotels and restaurants, which is absurd. But as we tell, when we were playing, we would tell friends of ours, your tribute act used to be an original band. That music that was Runch original music. So, I mean, it's familiarity, isn't it? So once people hear songs a couple of times, then they get to know it. And so what we would do is when we would go and play a gig, we would just pipe Lazy Fifthy music for the hour before people were there. And then subliminally they just think, oh, I've heard this before, I know this song, sort of thing. But the problem is getting the gig in the first place and letting the public, and they don't want to pay you any money, and I get that. But the people in general are very apathetic in New Zealand, and they don't want to come out unless it's freaking Creedence Clearwater Revival. It's just it's a really hard. But I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of rock and metal bands, and they're really, really good. It's just finding where you can play them, and those venues are few and far between in New Zealand.
I think, to be fair, I think there's a lot of things that's come together in a perfect storm. COVID, that got people out there, that get people scared, and people stopped going to gigs because of that. And then it was then a hard habit to break. I don't, to be honest, I'll be perfectly honest, I don't go to that many gigs myself now. It's just because I'm at an age where when I come in for work, I'm knackered, much as anything. I'm usually working the next day, and that's not an excuse. It's just a fact of life. When I used to do work for myself, it was great. I could go and do anything because the next morning I could, like, you can't do that. So there's all sorts of elements to it. But the other thing is like the government and the amount of rates and taxes they're taking off of venues, the fact that the venue's probably £1,000, £1,500 in before they even start making a profit. They've got to cover the £1,500. So how many bands nowadays can pull in enough people to cover the cost even? So it's like I say, it's a perfect storm. But the problem is that if you're in a band, the only way you can make money is by gigging and selling merchandise, because you can't make it out of the music anymore. So we're not. I mean, I love to be positive, but we are in a hell of a state, and it's not going well, because I see it even over here. There's people that will go and see the same, what I would call a grassroots band. They'll go and see them 17 times in the one tour. But that's it. And then they'll do 40 gigs in a year, which is great. But not if 17 of them has been to see the same band all over the country. So much as the band probably like it, it does paint a picture that isn't actually accurate about how busy gigs are. I mean, has it come as a shock to you guys coming over here? Did you expect it to be a lot more vibrant and a lot more opportunities than there is?
Well, we're pretty blown away with it, to be honest with you. Like, compared to what we came from, like, it's like night and day.
Hmm?
And so, and last year we only got here in spring last year, and we had some great gigs last year. And it was like, wow, because we got, I'm quite well aware that festivals book, like when a festival finishes, they announce for next year already. So you've got to be in touch with them a lot in advance, and so, like, we have found that like, it's only baby steps, and the snowball's sort of just starting to turn and grow bigger. But like, we actually did much better last summer than what we thought we were going to do. We thought we'd have to do a lot more work, and so we've been pleased. Really,
That's cool. That's cool.
From our point of view, just based on what we were talking about before, I was just going to say I didn't want to keep this as in doom and gloom, because the music scene here is still phenomenal as far as we're concerned. You know, we've been approached by a lot of people saying, "Oh, it's rubbish. It's not what it used to be." We didn't know what it used to be. We've just come from New Zealand, and it's just incredible. It's still, as far as we're concerned, an incredibly amazing music scene, and all the people that we've met are still wanting to go and see original bands. And I don't know if that's just because it's the West Midlands and they're all sort of, they love music sort of thing, but there's still a lot of venues around in the Midlands, and there's still a lot of places and a huge amount of people that still want to get out and listen and do the things. It's just, unfortunately, we're noticing it's the actual venues that can't afford it and closing up, but the people are still keen.
I think we could most probably try and go on about it all day, but I think we've got to talk about the positives as well. Like, and it's like, as you say, there's a lot of people out there who support music, and like, you know. So let's change the subject and make it a bit more light-hearted. Give us a bit of history about Lazy Fifthy. Like, you know, when did it start? How did it start? And obviously,
well, Lazy Fifthy is the sort of the latest incarnation of just bands that I've been playing in. It got to a point where I was playing in bands that were not tribute acts, but they were cover bands, and so I was making a bit of coin, and it was playing the rock and metal thing, you know, all the classic rock sort of stuff, the Deep Purples and the Thin Lizzies and all that. And it just got to a point where I just got completely bored with it. And so I think it was about 2017 was that when Lazy Fifthy was sort of created. And it's gone through a lot of incarnations since then. It's been a 3-piece, a 4-piece, a 5-piece, back to a 3-piece. And that was the wonderful thing about the people that we met in New Zealand. You know, they'd had families or work commitments and they'd come and go, but they were all part of the band, and some of them would be able to fill in on the bass at some point, and then they'd jump on the drums. So we always had a really good
retinue. Retinue of musicians.
I thought I was just a shit employer and I was going through employees, but they came back sometimes.
We've all been there, trust me. It's part of a musician's life. I think you'd end up speaking to more musicians than you know. So give us a bit of a rundown of your rig then. What did you bring over from New Zealand? Where did you go to?
Well, I at one point in my life, and I realized that I changed from 6-string to 7-string guitars, and I thought it would bring in quite a good heavy blues sound rather than detuning the 6-string. I've got an extra string. Well, that was a bit of a mindfuck, and it took 2 years to figure out what this top string was for. So it took a long time. And then once you got used to playing it, you'd switch back to a 6-string and then wonder where the other string was. And so it's taken a few years, but I do like the use of that when you do want to get down and dirty on some of the heavier, slower blues numbers. So I've got a Fender 7-string, an Ernie Balls 7-string. The rest of them are Fender Strats. Because I do love the whammy bar. It's a get a jail card when you start fucking up your lead solos. Just grab the whammy bar and do a bit of fluffing around, and people think it's pretty good. And I brought over a Vox amplifier, Marshall amplifier, and I think
we bought about 7 guitars.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I'm sure he could have done more. I'll send you some links to some of the guitar shops. Don't worry about it.
The only problem is that, you know, like it's storing them. Like we're
there's always room. You can get
borrowing space
stands
here and everywhere. It's like,
you're not going to win this one, Kerry. You're speaking to a guitarist.
I'm with you, Kerry.
How big's your garage?
How big's my garage? my garage is right next to me, so
Oh, there's room for a few more.
exactly. Thank you. Cheers. That's exactly what I was saying as well, Adrian. Always room for more. You can find room. You can store hats on them, coats on them, and everything.
Yeah. Well, that's how you hide them.
Oh, it's not hard. It's only hiding them and then sneaking them in.
Yeah.
Then the wife goes, "That a new guitar?" No, not for ages, love.
I had it in a cupboard. I forgot I had it.
Yeah.
Looks pretty new. Yeah, I had it cleaned up, love.
Yeah, don't worry about
New
that.
radio.
Brand new, that brand new.
See, we all stick together. It's part and parcel. I've been listening to some of you. You've got some really tasty riffs, to be perfectly honest, Adrian. And
Cheers.
some like I admire some of the blues stuff because I grew up with the likes of Zach, Ozzy,
Right.
Randy Rhodes, a proper different kind, like Joe Perry from Aerosmith. But one thing which I noticed, which I was listening to today, I think it was, correct me if I'm wrong, and apologies, I'm really shit with names sometimes. Skeleton, where it's got a really tasty lick on it, and it was one of those where I was listening to and I was going, interesting. And now it's like, when you start listening to it, you get the vibe for it and the feel, and the breakdown in the middle was just absolutely quality.
Right.
So it's like, how do you write your stuff? What is your process for writing? How do you?
The way I will write music is I started writing with a friend of mine, and it's completely different to how I write now. But I think what sparked off coming up with riffs was he was a very good lyricist, and he would give me some lyrics, and I would look at them, and they'd give me ideas on how to write it. And so, as Lazy Fifthy was made, and I started writing music, I would come up with a riff, and then the lyrics would come. Sometimes the lyrics would come very easily. Sometimes they just take a huge amount of work, and the song might take 2 to 3 years to write because I'm just a shit lyricist. But I always got, as much as I loved the music I listened to growing up, I did become bored with it, and so I was always a huge fan of Black Sabbath on how they would change their riffs halfway through a song, and I just thought, well, it kept, for my brain, it kept it interesting. And so yeah, I've got plenty of songs which has got the old verse chorus. If it's an interesting song with a catchy riff, I'll do that, but the song you'll probably find will be 3 minutes long. There's no point in doing 7 minutes of the same old. And so based on sort of Black Sabbath, you have a catchy riff, you sing some music through it, and then you move the song slightly, but you keep the sort of the lyrics, hold it together, and because you've got to tie it together somehow. I do have a problem with a lot of progressive metal bands, and they change for the sake of change, and then you think, what's tied all of this stuff together? One of the early examples was Wait For Me on the 2021 album, and it's basically a piece of music connected with another piece of music, and I really like that song. It just grooves and flows the whole way through, and not in the rock metal realm, but if you listen to Supertramp, you'll find that none of those songs that they do have a chorus. They have a catchy riff, and they join it with another catchy riff, and then they join it with another catchy riff, and you have no idea that you're singing along to their verses. There's no choruses. And I do find that style of songwriting extremely interesting, because
I also like it, like I watched a thing on YouTube called Drumeo, Drumeo. So basically they get in drummers, and then they'll play them a track they haven't heard before with no drums in it. They then have to put their own drums to it. And I watched one the other night, and I think it was a drummer out of Papa Roach, and they played a tune, and the tune was by a band called the Zac Brown Band, who most people think of as country rock.
Right.
And this guy couldn't believe the drums in it. The timings was like sevens or something like that. It meant bugger all to me. But
Yeah,
see when you listen to it, and I know what you mean because you listen to the song and it's just it sounds like a verse, chorus, verse, chorus. But this drumming is doing mental things all over the place behind it. But you don't
yeah,
realize it, and then because if you did it with a straight 4/4 beat, it would be a different song altogether. And I
yeah.
like, I know where you're coming from. It's in a different way, but I like that as well.
Mm.
I like to hear something different, rather than just born. And I might, but although I'd never get to stage where I could like jazz. That's just too much improvisation for me.
Yeah, but that's what you say you're playing when you fuck it up.
Yeah. Do you know, if I'd known that years ago, I could have been a guitarist.
We just did a jazz fill in here.
So what's in store at the moment then? What's your latest plans? What have you got any new albums coming out? Any gigs coming up?
Yeah, we've recorded some music last year at one of our live gigs, so we're working on that, hoping to release some of them this year. Have them for sale at our gigs before they're all released, just do a slow release of them, and then we start gigging next weekend. We've got 3 gigs next weekend, and then it's kind of just rolling on from there for the summer. So that's pretty cool.
I'd say. So where are you gigging next weekend?
We're gigging locally next weekend. My dear 80-year-old mother arrives from New Zealand on Thursday night.
Oh, cool.
Our biggest fan.
Our biggest fan and number one merch girl. I've got to tell you, that woman can sell merch. I think everyone just sees this cute little old lady, feels sorry for her, and wants to buy stuff off her. So we wanted to just keep it local just while she was here for that next weekend, because she loves the band too. Being
cool.
her age, she sort of grew up with that kind of music, and she loves Lazy Fifthy. So we're playing at a place called the Boat Shack Cafe in Bromsgrove,
Oh, very nice.
which we came across because quite a few other blues players play there.
Mhm.
And then we're playing at the Metal Monocle in Leicester. I don't know if you've heard of the Metal
Yeah, we
Monocle.
know that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool there. And then we're playing at Birmingham Rocks, which is what's Jim's name? Jim Simpson. Do you know
Simpson,
Jim
that's it.
Simpson?
Mhm.
Big Bear Promotions.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he does a rock thing every Sunday, and we're getting to have our turn. So that's 3 gigs in one weekend. Poor old mum will hope she's over her jet lag by then, because she's going to have some stamina 3 nights in a row.
Right.
Yeah,
Make sure flour with coffee and some kind of
Red Bull.
alcohol.
Get some Red Bull into you. I'll get her over jet lag anyway. One of the things I meant to ask as well was, obviously when you said there when you were in New Zealand you were sometimes a 3-piece, a 4-piece, a 5-piece. I'm guessing you came over by yourself. So who have you recruited over here to be in the band?
Well, the plan was originally to bring the band over, and that was all well and good until issues with visas and what have you. And then on the way over, we had a gig in India, of all places, at the International Music Festival. And again, they were planning to come over to that and see how we would go from there. But of course, they had bad weather, and we didn't know till 3 weeks out that they were going to actually do the festival. So from there on in, I've been hiring local people and just playing with them. So fortunately for us, we ended up in Redditch in Birmingham, the home of John Bonham. And we've sort of stayed here because the amount of musicians in this area, and we very quickly found an extremely good drummer. We've gone through a few bass players, but that's through no fault of mine. And they're and so we've got a good little 3-piece at the moment. But through getting here and playing various gigs, I'm and Lazy Fifthy was always, there's a jammingness to about it. So there's a lot of songs that we can do as well. So long as you got the intro right and the ending right, we can just sort of make it up as we go in the middle. And there's a sort of freedom in our music that we can do that. So short answer is, yeah, we've got some local people here at the moment.
That's cool. Mind you, if you ever get trouble again with a bassist, that's what your other string for is in your guitar. You can play the bass and the guitar at the same time. That's why I manage bands, because I can come up with solutions. I don't know why you're shaking your fucking head. It's a great idea.
Not even going to say anything. I'm really not.
Just think of the
Well,
Outlaw Orchestra. Yeah, the Outlaw Orchestra. Dave did that.
He did. There is ways of doing it where you actually plug. You get a splitter. You put one lead into a bass cab, another lead into a guitar cab. Turn it, mix it, split it. Sounds amazing.
Mhm.
Really,
okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely worth having a nosy at. Like, you know what I mean?
right.
Put a little bit of phase on the bass cab, and it really just pads it out. It sounds absolutely. It's different. It really is.
And
Okay.
it's a band called the Outlaw Orchestra. If you get the chance to go and see them, it's kind of
Yeah,
strange
well,
music. You'll love them. But it's Dave, the guitarist, that does it. The first time I saw it was like, and I heard it live, I thought, what the, how's he doing that? But he obviously explained it to Ian better, and I couldn't understand it. So,
So obviously, I like to ask some random questions. So apologies in advance.
that's all right.
Sometimes they go a little bit weird, and it leaves you in a situation where you have to make some really bad decisions. Um, Not yet. That'll be the
no.
later on. I'll do that one later on. So obviously you've played some festivals, you've had like loads of pictures where you're doing your gain and your guitar face. I know all about that.
Yes.
You get caught, no matter what, you're gaining. Don't care what anyone says. Have you got a story from a festival? You don't have to name names. You don't have to say who it is or anything like that.
But it's better if you do.
Just made you laugh your head off that much where it's thrown you off or distracted you. There's something happened at a festival that will stick with you for the rest of your life.
Well,
Look at the face. That says it all.
I we back in New Zealand, we were doing a gig, and it was for a bikers, club. And I thought I'd have a quick pint and a bite to eat before we got there. Well, halfway through our sort of first set, I started to feel a bit unwell. And then I said, oh, we just got to pull the pin here and cut that set early. I don't know what's going on. And I went over to Kerry and I said, I really don't feel good. And then before we got back on, I thought, man, I'm not even going to make the thing. So I ran to the toilet, started spewing up in the toilet. And then I thought, oh, shit, it's going to come out the other end. So I turned around, and this was a really big country pub. So it was a very old building, and it was absolutely packed. And of course, the toilet door didn't close, so I'm sitting on the door holding that shut, singing Far Out. And then I thought, I'm going to spew again. So I got up, turned around, my pants around my ankles. I'd just been sitting on the bog, and I started spewing, and the door just went. And I got up, and I thought, the first person who walks in is going, "Hey, aren't you the lead guitarist?" It's like,
now we know why you're called the Lazy 50.
well, so anyway, I got the old food poisoning. I got back up on stage, and then I ended up sitting on my amplifier with my top hat in front of me. So I just sort of, I spew, at least I can spew into that. But then I only managed to get in about 3 or 4 more songs. We had to pull the pin, and that was the end of it. But I just stood standing in that toilet, just saying, if someone walks in now, it's going to go, oh, I've seen you on better days, mate.
And all the bikers are looking at you and thinking, I'll have a pint of whatever he's been on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was
an experience, should we say?
That was my claim to fame.
You did actually play India. Was it last summer?
Yeah.
What was that like? I can't imagine what that's like over there.
That was
amazing.
incredible. That was it was absolutely amazing. The Indians are just lovers of everything, absolutely everything, and so keen. And the stage was just ginormous. It was absolutely huge. We've got a bit of live footage of us playing at that particular gig, and of course these two guys, I had the drummer for a week to learn these songs, and the bassist turned up the night before, and so we had a quick practice with him. But if you have a look, there's a song of ours called My Hand, which is live at Kerala. And I'm constantly walking around, but it's like 20 meters to go over to the bassist, and then it's another 20 to go back to the drummer. And because I'm just walking around saying, there's a change coming up. Yep. And then you walk down to the drummer. Okay, we're going to stop now. And I thought, all right. But they were absolutely such good musicians, excellent musicians, and brilliant people.
Well, we were a little bit nervous in India because our guys were supposed to come from New Zealand, but they had a really bad monsoon season in Kerala that year, and they had like massive landslides and like hundreds of people died, and so it was touch and go. We weren't contracted till the very last minute, and in the end it was just okay, we're going to get some session players, and we'd never used session players before. We'd always had enough of our retinue of people that could go flick between different, and then no one even knew what they were going to get with Lazy Fifthy, whether the drummer would be playing the bass or whether he'd be playing rhythm guitar or whatever. Like, they were all really, really talented musicians and would swap around. So that was our first time using session players, and it was really nerve-wracking because the drummer we thought he was young. We thought he was 18. It turns out he was 32. They just looked so young. And he was really awesome, but then the bass player didn't come in for until like the day before, so we were kind of like, how's this gonna go, and he was amazing. It was amazing.
How many rehearsals did you have then with them?
I did about 3. I think it was about 3 rehearsals with the drummer. So it was just me and him. They got on some other bassist to fill in, but he was absolutely shite. It was just garbage. So me and the drummer did 3 rehearsals of the sets and figured out what songs we would do. The first day was sussing it out. Like, well, that one's actually not going to work. We'll do this and do that. And then the bassist, we were just sitting in the rehearsal room just waiting. Is he turning up? And then he turns up. Oh, the train took, it stopped somewhere for 2 hours to pick up a cow or something like that. He just turns up with his bass. We spent 2 hours going over it, and that was that. It was, okay.
So
funnily enough, the classic saying, New Zealand, if she'll be right, he was saying it all the time. No, she'll be right.
But it was a really wicked festival because it had all sorts of different genres of music. And like bands from like really unusual places around the world. And my favourite was a 5-piece female Indian band. Well, what were they called? Wicked Women, and they were rapping in 5 different languages. And I never thought and they were wearing saris, but they were really contemporary. And I've never seen anything so amazing in my whole life. And I never thought I'd ever see 5 Indian women rapping in like 5 different languages, but. It was an amazing experience. Met some amazing people and saw some really interesting music. Hey.
Well, a funny story on that. They had the concert poster, and it was absolutely ginormous. And I was there on the right-hand corner. And of course, people in India think if you're 6 foot and you're white, you soon get spotted. People know who you are. However, one person. It was one of the other bands, I think. They came up and they said, how come everyone that's at the festival has got their photo? How come there's 3 pictures of you? And so what happened was Kerry sent them a group of photos. And of course, sometimes I've got a beard, sometimes I've got a mow, sometimes I've got a bald head. And so they thought, they picked 3 photos and they thought it was 3 different people. And so
the band.
And so they thought that was the band. So there was 3 pictures of me thinking this was 3 different people. But as this other Indian woman who was playing at the festival, she said, oh, well, that's pretty, I can't remember the name of the god, but she said, there's a 3-headed god in India. And I said, well, that's me, isn't it? That's who I am. I don't think I'm the elephant.
That's brilliant. How many people were at this festival? Like, how many in attendance?
I don't know. It was a 3-day festival.
I think over the 3 days, I think it was about 20,000 over the 3 days.
Wow.
I don't know. It was a camping festival, so there were lots of people kind of milling around here, there, and everywhere.
But It was, yeah, the Indians are so enthusiastic. Incredible crowd. I mean, we're looking at, they didn't have it this year, but we were saying to them we'd like to go back. I mean, it's such a good experience. They just go out of their way to try and put you up and make you feel at home and give you everything. And
Well, you're a shoe in anyway, Adrian. You're a three-headed god, so you're a shoe in to get
I
into
know.
this one.
I've got to ask this. What was it on stage then?
What's that?
How warm was it on stage?
Yeah, it was pretty warm.
Yeah.
If I was in between every song, I had my tea towel on there. I was just wiping the sweat off. I did play in bare feet as well. It was warm on stage, but it wasn't baking hot. It wasn't searing heat. So, I mean, in India during that time, it was sort of getting into the winter anyway, which is still warm, but it's not.
But luckily, the sun had gone down. You know, anyone that had to play during the day before the sun went down was horrible. But it was dark when Lazy Fifthy played.
No, that's cool.
It helped a lot.
No, it wasn't cold. It was warm.
It was just warm instead of boiling.
And then you came over and you played breaking bands over here as well.
Yeah.
So obviously I've played that festival. I know how good it is. What was your first impression of it then?
Awesome.
It was quality, isn't it? It is
great.
Yeah.
Well, that was our first taste of anything here. And then, you know, like 3 days of like original music and people that were flicking between and really into, you know, there's nothing.
Well organised,
there's not even one of them in New Zealand per annum. we just got here and we're playing at it. It was like, well, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty good. Now, obviously, this is the bit where John starts laughing. This is the bit where I get called
motherfucker usually a bastard.
I've been called bastard. I've been called quite a few horrible names. So it's called Winner Stays On. So I'll give you two names.
Sorry, what was that? What was that, you bastard?
You've got to put fucking in front of that as well, like, you know what I mean? Take it to the next level. Don't go half-assed. It's like, you know what I mean? So, right, I'm going to give you a few names.
Yeah.
You play Winner Stays On. You've got to pick who's going to be best for you. Starting with the first one, I'm going to go with Kiss and Deep Purple.
Deep Purple.
It's easy.
Oh, Deep Purple. Okay. Deep Purple versus Van Halen.
Deep Purple.
Wow. Okay.
And before you ask this one, Deep Purple.
We should never started with Deep Purple.
You think you've done it in reverse, Ian?
I think I have, haven't I?
Okay, cut.
Deep Purple, Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
fuck. That's very hard.
Oh, you fucking bastard. Can I do Deep Lizzy?
No.
No, you have to choose. I'm sure there's a joke there, and I don't want to say it, like, you know what I mean? But
we've had three purples. Let's do Thin Lizzy then.
You're going to go with the Thin Lizzy?
Yeah.
Okay. Thin Lizzy or AC/DC?
Deep Purple.
They were knocked out the last round. You can't be swapping.
Yeah, it's a cup game. It's a cup tournament. That's knocked out. You're knocked out.
I would still do Thin Lizzy. You can't beat old Mr. Phil Lynott unless you're in Gillen. Carry on.
Thin Lizzy or Queen?
Oh, that's easy.
Thin Lizzy.
Oh, you can't be saying that.
Why?
She's pinching me.
No. No. It was an obvious one. That was an easy one.
Thin Lizzy, Led Zeppelin.
Oh,
Deep Purple.
I'm beginning to think he's got Tourette's and he's just shouting Deep Purple.
I mean, Led Zeppelin.
You're going to say Zepp?
Yeah.
And your last one?
I'm glad you didn't say Deep Purple or Rainbow.
Oh, I can add that in if you want. Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath?
Oh, okay. I'll have to say Black Sabbath.
Sabbath or Rainbow?
You fucking bastard.
Come on, Sabbath or Rainbow, your last one.
Is it Ronnie James? Is it Ronnie James Dio?
Oh,
Yeah.
don't give him choices. Don't give him choices.
No, if it's Ronnie James Dio.
No, it'll be Rainbow. But yeah, I mean, Black Sabbath is like I like every era of Sabbath with all the singers. You can get into fights in New Zealand if you say you've listened to the Dio years or the other ones, and
The Aussie.
no, there's only Aussie. It's like, no, he wasn't. No, but I will see that I'm a fan of Richie Blackmore, and that's why. And then it was always going to be the guitar player in the band, but when it came to Black Sabbath, you can't beat Black Sabbath as a band. It's just, I mean, the music they came out with.
What they did when they were at the time was next level.
Yeah,
it was completely different, so obscure, and the story behind it is just even better. It's poetry, in my opinion. Obviously, losing Ozzy last year, it's brought a bit of rock and metal to the forefront, which is it's great to see so many new bits coming out. Like I'm sure John will mention the kid who I can't remember his name now. It's going to do me head in. Who sang Changes with Nuno?
Youngblood.
Youngblood. Yeah, he was doing well for himself, and then all of a sudden he's really picked up in the rock scene.
Yeah,
and it's great to see because it's adding a new dimension. New people are listening to rock again. It's pulling in bigger crowds, and it's nice to see.
Well, I think that for me personally, the late 80s and 90s, as far as metal goes, rock and metal, it's fading out a bit now and going back to that old style of the jammingness of bands like Sabbath and Zeppelin. Because to me, the late 80s, once sort of Eddie Van Halen came in, and again, I mean, I don't do finger tapping or anything like that. I choose not to, all right? No, I can't do any of that sort of stuff, and it's just out of my league. And I was never interested in doing it, but the younger guitarists coming in would hear it. And to me, then came Steve Vai and Satriani, and no disrespect to them, but I find the music so sterile. There's no, it's so pre-planned and forethought and then played. There's no room for, there's just no life in it.
There's not enough. To me, there's no melody in it. To me, it lacks melody. It's like a singer who has a fantastic range, and all they do is try and demonstrate the range all the way through every song. Rather than singing the song and picking the moments to go high or go low or go powerful, they just want to keep doing their runs, and they completely forget they're there to serve the song. And the melody.
I'll be honest, I'm going to challenge you a little bit on this one. I actually think there's a place and a time for it. And there's certain things that, like, definitely Joe Satch, definitely, like, Steve Vai, like, but there's other bands out there who are, I understand what you mean, but it's a walking click track. And everything is perfect. There's no Jimi Hendrix kind of soul to it, where it's like, you can just walk off and start doing a 10-minute solo, where it's just like,
I mean,
things. Everything's so structured. It's a bit of it can get monotonous.
There's like I say, I was brought up on the 70s and early 80s. I guess a good in-between band is someone like Iron Maiden. They live play pretty much what they play on the album.
Yeah.
But there's still a bit of, I don't know, there's still a bit of life in it. There's still a bit of body in it. The ones that are very structured. A good example is Yngwie Malmsteen.
Oh, I was just thinking of him.
His first two albums I thought were absolutely brilliant, because he wrote songs to fit his guitar playing. Then he started writing other songs and still did the same guitar playing, and it just became a complete load of bollocks. It was just boring as hell. And I thought, well, he those first two albums, he wrote songs to suit how he played, and I thought they were really good. There was absolutely no room for improvisation, but they sounded good, as most classical pieces sound good because that's what they are. But I just find that, I mean, there's a few other names I could mention who I just feel, but I'm going to probably piss off a shitload of people. So I'm going to keep.
No, it's not about that. I think but this is what I like about music. Music is about taste. And you can listen to one song. You can listen to one song and you don't get it.
Were you talking about Rory Gallagher with taste?
But Rory Gallagher is a great example. Like, you know, some of his playing is just out of this world. But there'll be other tracks where I'll listen to and I'll go, I just don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get it. And the whole thing about music is giving it a chance.
The funny thing is, in New Zealand also, I was part of I got to be president of the Poverty Bay Blues Club. Poverty Bay not being the best sounding place in the world, but that was where we're from on the East Coast. Beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful place. But good old Captain Cook decided to call it Poverty Bay. Anyway, that's another story. So I was, although we always thought it was the best name for a blues club, Poverty Bay Blues Club.
Oh, it's
but anyway, the general musicians that used to go there used to get really pissed off with me because I wasn't playing traditional blues. I was going diddly diddly on the guitar. That's not blues. And I said, if Johnny Winter turned up here and sat down and started carving it up, would you tell him to piss off? I said, you wouldn't, would you? You'd sit there and go, fuck, Johnny Winter's in the house. And I said, if Gary Moore turned up and started his style of blues, you wouldn't tell him to piss off. So shut up. No, what you're doing isn't blues. And so in the end, it just got so, it was just so hard to work. And actually, one of the secretary of the club, she piped up and she quit as well. And she said, do you know it was not the punters that were complaining? It's just the musicians that were complaining.
Isn't that typical? That is so fucking typical.
I'm not even, John will know this more than anyone.
The shortest presidential term in Poverty Bay history.
You know what? But I'd take that as a compliment because that means you're pissing them all off that you're doing something which they wish they were doing. Like,
it reminds me of the old joke that I used to like doing when I was a singer with bands, and I used to always pick on the guitarist with this one. Say, how many guitarists does it take to change a light bulb? 100. One to do it, and the other 99 to say he's not doing it right.
I'm not even going to say anything on that one. Like, so.
To be fair, you're not like that. You always try to. I mean, I've been with you at gigs, and you always find the bits that you like in a guitarist rather than the bits to pick fault with. That's one thing I will say about Ian.
The way I always look at it is, it doesn't matter what level you are, and I think you can always learn from someone else.
Yeah.
And even if it's just two notes, what someone plays,
yeah,
you'll listen to it and you go, "Oh, I like that." And the next minute you can incorporate it into something that you're doing. It's not about, like I say, my philosophy on a lot of things is you can always learn from someone else.
Absolutely.
A lot of people are too quick to bash someone, beat someone up, and moan, when realistically we should all be going, I'm on stage, I am absolutely loving it, and you're sitting there and you're listening to it, you're enjoying it. Enjoy life, enjoy music. Music's the most important thing, I think, in anyone's life. It controls your feelings. And if you can get people to dance to your songs, I think you're doing a great thing.
Or sing them back to you.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the best feelings I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Right. What band did you used to play in?
I am in a band, I used to be in a band called King Voodoo. I am now in a band called Head Creep. And our first gig is coming up in about 4 weeks. So
okay.
It's
King Voodoo were around for about 5 years, weren't you?
Yeah.
And I mean, they played all the festivals, did loads of gigs and all that, and then it kind of fell by the wayside. So this is his first band back.
What was the name of the new band?
Head Creep.
Head Creep, 2 words.
Oh, right.
I'm quite sure he'll send you a link afterwards, Adrian.
Yeah, I'll take a look. I'll just suss out the guitar playing, see if he's any good or not.
Oh no, I'll tell you right now, he is good. But although I would say style wise, he definitely likes a bit of Zach Wilde, don't you, mate?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely like a little bit of Zach Wild, like so big fan, like so. Anyway, this is your interview, not about me. Back that off.
Turn the tables on
tell
you
us
there, pal.
what's on your merch stand? What are we expecting to see if we come to a gig?
We've got 3 CDs and we've got a vinyl. We did not the last album, but the album before that we did on vinyl. Because interestingly, in New Zealand, nobody's been buying CDs for 10 years. So we put out the album we put out in 2021. We stamped it on vinyl, and it's got the double gatefold with all of the lyrics and beautiful. Because when we were young, we used to get the albums and we just used to pour over them. And vinyl's really made a comeback in New Zealand. So we've got vinyl for sale and T-shirts and CDs, and that's about it.
We've sold out of condoms.
Yeah, but you had to get rid of them because Kerry's mum's over. That's why.
We couldn't get that merch girl to sell them.
Yeah.
No, I used them all up.
That's what you're using. Let me just explain to people what he means is when he's doing slide guitar,
he's protecting his strings.
Protecting his strings.
What am I playing slide with? What are you talking about?
I thought that was the blues.
Oh, that'll make me scream, not the guitar.
So come on, give us your wrap it all up. Come on, where do you play? What have we got? What are we expecting this year? Then you've given us a few dates over the next weekend or two.
Yeah, we have got some festivals, but they're embargoed at the moment. So people just have to watch our socials.
Well, do you want to give us your socials and we'll tag you down?
All the handles are at Lazy Fifthy, and the 50 is the word. So at Lazy Fifthy, and that's on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of them.
If they want to really suss it out, because we're on Spotify, but we're not big fans of that. But everything's on Spotify. Otherwise, we've actually got some pretty decent videos on YouTube.
What I'll do is I will gladly put the links down below. So guys, click the link down below. Check them out. Lazy Fifthy, absolutely amazing, lovely guys. And what can I say? Enjoy the UK. The weather's
brilliant.
I've
been loving the snow.
And listen, thank you very much for coming on. Really appreciate it. John, over to you. Do you want to wrap it up, mate?
Well, there you go, folks. Another angle to be had. It's the first time we've spoken from anybody down under, and they're moving across here. Thanks very much, guys. I really appreciate it. So if you like what you've heard, and why the hell wouldn't you? You know what you need to do: subscribe. Tell your mates to subscribe, or else we'll come and get you.
Cheers, mate.